Hello, my wild and beautiful creators. Today we are going to be creating something called a collograph. And the way that's going to work is we're going to take some recycled pieces of cardboard, we're going to cut them up into different shapes, glue them down on a piece of cardboard, place a piece of paper over the collograph we have created, and rub a crayon on it to create an image. So here are the supplies you're going to need for today's project. You're going to need some recycled cardboard. So I'm using some old cereal boxes. You want to make sure it's that thin cardboard that's a little bit easier to cut. So maybe like a snack box or a cookie box, but any kind of thin cardboard like this. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, some glue, a crayon, and a piece of paper. I'm going to be using white drawing paper, but if you have notebook paper or copy paper, that's fine. And even if you just have some leftover newspaper, you can use that as well, and that'll work great. Okay, so go ahead and gather all your supplies, and we'll go ahead and get started on our collograph. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our collograph. Now I have created two example pieces, and these are just to kind of give you guys an idea for what you could do with your bird collograph. So a collograph is basically a bunch of pieces of cardboard that are glued in layers, and once they're glued down, you can take a crayon and put a piece of paper over your collograph and rub that crayon on there, and it's going to create a print of the collage you have made. So I wanted to show you these two birds before we get started, just to give you some ideas of different ways you can do things. So this bird is vertical. He's tall, straight up and down. And he has really long legs and some kind of long, funky feathers on his tail and on his head. So that's one way you could go. You could also go the horizontal route. This one almost looks a little bit more like a chicken to me. So the body is a little bit wider and it's horizontal. So my hand is like this, right? Horizontal, vertical. So with this vertical one, she has a really big beak, and a lot of triangles are what I'm using in this image. Neither of your birds have to look anything like this. That's the fun part about this, is you can kind of just have at it and have fun and do it whatever way you would like. So the first thing that you are going to need is going to be some leftover cardboard. And I just saved a couple of old cereal boxes because this cardboard is a bit more thin and it's a lot easier to cut. So the first thing you're going to do is get your scissors, and you're going to go ahead and cut a piece of cardboard to be the base for your image. So I'm going to take this right here. I'm going to be nice and careful with my scissors, and I'm just going to use this edge to kind of give me an idea of a straight edge. And I'm going to save all these pieces of cardboard that I cut off. I'm going to trim up these edges just a little bit to make sure they're nice and smooth. There we go. Now, I have my base for my collograph, and this is what I'm going to use to glue all my pieces onto to create a picture. Okay, so I'm going to save all the rest of these pieces of cardboard, and what I'm going to start doing is cutting them into different shapes and organizing them in piles to have set aside to build my collage of my bird. So I've already got a few pieces over here that are larger, and then I've got some medium-sized pieces and some small pieces. Most of these are square or rectangle. I think I would like a few triangles in this mix. So if you want to create a bunch of triangles, a fun thing you can do is cut a rectangle and then turn that rectangle at an angle. So you're cutting up to the corner. There's one triangle. Turn it again. There's another triangle. And there's another triangle. And then I want to cut that folded edge off. So I'm going to come right here like this. Those are pretty medium-sized. So I'm going to sit them with these medium-sized rectangles. And then I want some little small triangles. So here we go. I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to start cutting at an angle. And your bird does not have to have triangles. Maybe your bird is made completely out of squares or completely out of circles. It is totally up to you, and it is your bird. So these are definitely small, so I'm going to put them in my little small pile. Maybe I'm going to cut a few squares. And what I'm doing right now is basically just setting myself up to have a bunch of options to choose from when I'm building my bird. So there's some squares, put right there. And now I think I'm ready to start building my bird. The first thing I want to do is decide, do I want my bird to be horizontal or vertical? I think for today, I would like my bird to be horizontal. Again, you can choose. If you would like your bird to be vertical, go for it. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose a bigger piece of cardboard that I've saved and start my bird's body. I think I want my bird's body to kind of have that curve. So what I'm going to do is turn my cardboard and I'm going to cut kind of a backwards C. I'm turning my paper. And as you'll notice, this hand is just cutting like this, and this hand is doing most of the work. It's turning and moving my cardboard. So see how I kind of start to turn that cardboard. If you need to ask your parents for a little bit of help, go for it. There we go. And now I'm going to hold it up. Yes, I think I like that size. I'm going to straighten up this edge just a bit. And here is the body of my bird. Okay, now I've got the body of my bird and I need to decide what my bird's head is going to look like. I think I want his head to be circular shaped. So I'm going to choose one of these squares, pick up my scissors, and again, I'm going to use that trick. I'm going to turn the cardboard with this hand and I'm just going to cut with my other hand. So I'm coming around. And my circle's not going to be perfect. It might actually be kind of an oval. It's fine. There we go. Yes, I like that. So there goes my bird's head. Now, we're going to pick a few large pieces to put down first and go ahead and glue them. You don't want to arrange your whole bird and then try to glue him down, because when you pick up those pieces, they're going to slide all over the place. So since these are two pretty big base pieces, I'm going to go ahead and get my glue. I'm using glue that's in kind of a bottle where you twist the cap open. If you have just a glue stick, that works fine, or even a piece of tape. Both of those or all of those will work just fine. I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to put just a little bit on the edges. I don't even need to put any glue in the middle. Flip my bird body over. Place him here and give him a little press, a little massage. Now I'm going to take my glue and add my bird's head. There we go. So we've got the first steps down. The next thing I want to think about is my bird's legs. I think I want him to have some shorter legs. So I'm going to take this rectangle, cut it in half. Let's see, I think I want his legs to go straight down. Those are a little bit long. So I'm going to cut off a little square. I'm definitely going to save those squares. Those will be something fun to use. Put those in my small pile. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That looks pretty good. Take my glue. Put a little leg right there. And a little leg right there. Now I think I want him to have some little claws sticking out. Let's see. Maybe that's a little too big. So I'm going to cut this triangle in half. That's pretty cute. And these little tiny pieces, I only need to do a little dot of glue. I don't even need to do a ton of glue for this. There we go. There's one. And there's the other. So I've got his legs and his little feet down. I think I want him to have some kind of wing right here. I'm going to take this bigger piece of cardboard. I'm going to cut a curve right here. And then I'm going to turn it this way. Cut another curve right there. I kind of want him to have some indentions right here. So I'm going to cut a triangle there. And maybe one more. Yes, I like that. Now again, your bird does not have to have a wing like this. Okay, maybe your bird has more of like a rectangular wing or a square or a triangle. You have fun with it. This is your bird. It does not have to look exactly like mine. In fact, I have a feeling that you will come up with something much more creative than my bird. And make it a really wacky bird. Maybe it's a bird nobody's ever seen before. Completely new. Wouldn't that be something? Now I want him to definitely have some tail feathers. And I think for this I can just use some triangles. That was a little too big. Maybe that one. Oh, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna slide these away. Make sure again that you're gluing your pieces down as you go. You don't want to arrange a ton of pieces on your bird and then start to glue them down because they're going to slide all over the place. You want to glue down each layer as you go. Oopsie, that's all right. It'll still work. I'm going to wipe that up with my finger. There. Let those pieces glue down. Now my bird needs a beak. So maybe I can use one of these teeny tiny triangles. Oh, that was easy. Here we go. Only need a little bit of glue for this. I think I'm going to have his beak facing down. Maybe he's looking for something on the ground. It's looking pretty good so far. Now my bird can't see yet. He needs some sort of eye. So I could do a square eye. It's kind of neat. And maybe I'll do a smaller square on the inside. Cut off that little piece. Whoop. And this little piece. See what that looks like. Oh, that's pretty neat. I'll stick with that. So take those two pieces off and we'll flip them over. Do a little dot of glue here and here. Square right there. Oh, this piece is kind of hard to pick up, so little. So far, my bird has a body, a wing, some tail feathers, some feet and legs, a head, an eye, and a beak. What are some other fun things we could do to this bird? I think I want to add maybe some triangles in these areas to give him a few more feathers. So I'm going to take all these little triangles that I have. Remember, I only need a tiny little dot of glue. Don't need to get crazy with the glue. Here's some more. And I'm just going to kind of start moving these triangles around and fitting them in these little areas and filling this space. It's like kind of like a little puzzle. There we go. I need a smaller triangle, oops, for this part. There we go. Maybe a few more back here. There's one. Maybe another one right there. There. And I think the last thing I want is for my bird to have some funny feathers going off the back of his head. And there we go. So here's my bird. If I want to go add a few more details to him, I can. I think I'm going to add one more triangle to his wing. Yes. And my bird is complete. I need to make sure that I twist my glue closed. If you're using a glue stick, make sure you put the cap on. And now what I need to do is let my bird completely dry. So he's going to sit here for at least an hour until he's completely dry. All that glue really needs to attach. And then we will come back and then we will create our print. So the next part of this project that you will need is you will need a piece of paper. You will need your scissors, and you will also need a crayon. See you soon. Okay, so I have let my bird dry, and now if I kind of try to move any of the pieces, I can see that they are nice and stuck to my piece of cardboard, and I'm ready to create a print. The first thing that I'm gonna do is get my piece of paper. I'm using a piece of art paper, which is just kind of like a white paper. But if you have notebook paper or any kind of other paper, that's totally fine. Now, if you'll notice, my bird is about half the size of my paper. So what I can do is cut this paper in half and I can make two prints of this bird. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna take my paper and I'm gonna fold the two edges and I'm gonna make sure that they line up like I was folding a piece of paper in half to make a card. I'm gonna hold it still with this hand and I'm gonna press down with this other hand. And I'm gonna create a crease in that paper. And then I can take my scissors and I'm gonna cut right along that edge, as close to the edge as I can. And now I have two pieces of paper. The next thing that you are going to need is a crayon that has the paper peeled off of it. So you need to make sure that whatever crayons you have, and it can be a broken crayon or it can be a whole size crayon like this, does not matter. It also doesn't matter what color you use for this, although I will say I probably wouldn't use yellow because it might not show up as well as the rest of the colors. But you could certainly try it out as an experiment too. So what I'm gonna do is take my collograph, put it flat on the table, okay? And then I'm gonna take my piece of paper and I'm gonna lay it down on top. And I'm gonna use one hand to hold that paper still. I don't want it to slide around and move like this. I want it to stay perfectly still. And then I'm gonna take my crayon. I'm gonna lay it down flat. It's like it's taking a nap on the paper. It's not up like this like you would draw. It's down flat. Hold my paper still with my other hand and I'm gonna start rubbing that paper back and forth. Scoot my hand down, slide that paper back and forth, and you can see my bird is starting to show up. I can go the other direction, move my hand over. I don't want this paper to move. And then I'm gonna scoot that crayon out some more. And there is my bird. Pretty cool. So there's the head, the body, the tail, and the legs. So if I want to try to do another one, I'm going to take my second piece of paper, lay it down flat over my bird, and I'm going to try it with an orange this time. Hold it over that bird, hold the paper still with this hand, flat crayon, rub back and forth on my paper. Scoot it over. Oop, he almost slid away, didn't he? Ta-da! And now I have two prints of my wild and wacky bird. Now the fun thing is you can make as many of these as you would like. You can make them in every color. You can even maybe come back in with some other crayon colors. So maybe I want to come back in and I can start outlining around my bird and coloring around him. Okay, maybe I want to add some details to his eye. Maybe I want to make his beak a little bit darker. So you can have fun. You could also add to these with marker. You could fold them in half and you could make it a little card to send to somebody. You could hang it up on the wall. You can do anything with these, which is super fun. So again, your bird can be horizontal. Your bird can be vertical. It can be any shapes you want and any sizes. The only thing you have to make sure you do with this project is be creative and have fun. I hope you had a great time creating with me today and that you really enjoyed making your collograph. Now know that you can make as many of these prints as you want from this one original piece you created. So you can make these and use them as art to hang on the refrigerator, on the wall. You can maybe make some cards to send to some people. And you can also take these and add more things to it. Maybe you paint on this paper or add some marker. Also, I want you to make sure that you hold on to and save this because we are going to go a step further with this project next week. So make sure that you save this, like I said, for next week because we will be using this for another addition to our project. Have a great week, guys. Miss you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.